electric odor that was at the Wilton School?
Sure. So let me call it up on the screen then, too.
Okay.
We've got something about. So last Friday, it was about 11:45. We had several teachers come through the office and said they smelled an odor. It was coming from the coffee machines that were almost right near my office. Many of us couldn't smell anything. But then we went up to like 6 to 8 people who said they could smell something. And so we did not have our facility manager in the building. We didn't have our tech person in the building. So we said before we evacuate, because there was no smoke, call the fire department to see what they would recommend. And they said, you should evacuate just so we can come and check it out. So they came and checked it out. It was lunchtime. So we were all outside for about 15 minutes. Everything was over within 20. It was determined that there was no electrical fire or problem. But what one of the firemen had said to us is, have you recently replaced toner? And I said, well, we replaced toner on Tuesday in one of them. He said that could be what's causing the smell. But the interesting piece is, we had kids in the office at the time. They were all more than willing to express their opinions on what the odor might be. Most of them were saying it's the crackers Mr. St. Amand brought for lunch today. And so it's interesting how different people smell different things. But I will say it was very orderly. We were prepared to evacuate to Clark School if we needed to. And things went smoothly. We did get something out on Facebook fairly quickly, just saying we had evacuated, and then updated it. And then we did send something in the email clarifying. So it was one of those better safe than sorry. Mm-hmm. And the kids, of course, you know what the priority was. We're all going to get lunch, and we're all going to get recess. And yes, everybody did get lunch and recess. So thank you for asking about that. So we also were told it counts as a drill. So, we have to do at least a monthly. So the good news was we didn't have to wait to squeeze one in this week.
Great.
But everybody was great.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Did anyone have any other questions for Jerry on principal's report? And if not, for Porter for the middle school?
I understand the Global Science Expo went well today.
It was awesome.
Oh, dear.
It went very, very well. A lot of excitement. We were visited by the director of NELMS today, and he got Jerry through and got a chance to go through and see it in action. He was very, very impressed with the kids and stopped for a few of their presentations and whatever. It was wonderful. It really was. We had 2 showings of it today.
New England League of Middle Schools.
Yes.
Nelms is New England League of Middle. He's the executive director of
New
England League of Middle Schools.
Excellent. Yeah, unfortunately I was unable to attend, but I hear tell and saw pictures, so that's great.
Yeah, I was planning to attend, but a meeting popped up.
I know.
But I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I was bummed.
And Porter, you had the Mount Vernon transition evening?
Yes.
No.
You're all doing with Jerry's Spartans. It's okay. Yes, Mount Vernon, annually we go up and meet with the parents first, and then we meet with the students once or twice during the year, and then they come to the Amherst Middle School for the evening. But this is one just for parents. It's a good, nice night. It's on their turf, and it's a lot of friendly faces and a lot of folks that have had children come through already. And it's just question and answers, really. We talk about what to expect for transition and invite them to the evening, the parent evening, for where the children and the students come, and we give them a day in the life, and it's pretty neat. It's a fun night to meet some of the teachers and that.
Great.
Cool.
Anyone have any other questions? No?
There's a lot of info here, though.
Yeah,
Thanks for writing this
there
up,
is.
putting this together. And it looks like a lot of work when you guys put this together. I appreciate it.
All right. So, public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the board? I don't see anybody. All right. Moving on to consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Second, please. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next, presentations and reports. Betty is going to speak to the FY16 third quarter report.
So, on our quarterly report, we do have a little different picture than what we did have in December. The one thing that, looking at this, is on the revenue side of it. We're looking at receiving less revenue in our Mount Vernon tuition than what we had projected. It's a very difficult projection in September and December to determine what that. Particularly in September when we have to set it for the tax rate. So we have to decide what our Mount Vernon tuition will be. Our tuition agreement has created fluctuations in both Mount Vernon and Amherst. It's been a difficult task to smooth your revenue with that Mount Vernon tuition, and it's been a difficult issue to smooth their expenditures with the Mount Vernon tuition agreement. I'm not just exactly sure what the answer to it is. Our tuition agreement is based on current year, so we're projecting it prior to the year happening. In the past, our former tuition agreement was based on the prior year, so we had all the numbers in front of us. Projections are a little easier when you have at least a few numbers that you know. So this is so this we will receive, I think, less money from Mount Vernon than what we had projected. So that's the revenue side. And then on the expenditure side, we still do have a fair bit of salary and benefit savings. However, what's different is the amount of money that we have had. And I noticed, I think it was Jerry's principal report, I noticed that he was talking about the special ed situation in his principal report, and with very good reason, because there have been a lot of unanticipated expenditures that we definitely did not budget for in the last number of months. So our student support services are overexpended, and our student transportation those two items are way over, together about $200,000. So that's a pretty big deal. Fortunately, we did have the money this year to absorb that. However, I'm certainly glad we've got a trust set up for future years, and I'm concerned about that, not just for this year though. I'm concerned about next year, because these students have these needs. They're in our building, and a lot of these needs have just become, we've just become aware of them after the budgets were completed. So that will create an issue for next year. This year we're still looking. We did have an amount in our building and grounds too, because of the gym floor. However, so we are still looking at our expenditures being surplus budget savings of $311,000. So we are okay. But for next year, it is an issue that we won't have those items budgeted for. I will say that we did have good news in that our health insurance came in under. We budgeted 5%. It came in at 2.4% for the HMO and 2.6% for the POS. So that I just did a quick calculation to try and see what the savings would be, budget versus what actually came in, and it's about $83,000. So that will be of some help next year when you're dealing with those special ed costs. I don't know if there's any questions.
What's the balance in our special ed reserve fund?
So currently it's $100,000, but we will expect, given this forecast, We will expect to put another 50,000 in at year end, so it'll be 150,000.
Okay.
And you'll know that you do have, we've also had savings, because we have had more teachers retire than what we expected. So we do know that we have savings in salaries and benefits, and we do know we'll have savings in the health insurance. So that will help
Yeah.
give you some cushion, but that is something you'll want to watch next year.
Yeah. We won't have as much of a cushion as we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless something changes, and special ed does change a
Right.
lot, so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Betty?
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you. Okay. Discussion items. So for future agenda items, I just wanted to explain the process of how the agenda gets set and how we can formalize a little more your participation in that, board members. So we have a meeting with myself and Peter and administration about 2 weeks or so prior to this board meeting,
Right.
where we discuss what will be on the agenda for the following month. So I was thinking and verified with Peter that our meetings are already set, actually, for probably at least 6 months, I think.
Well, I don't
Or
think
maybe
that far out.
3 months?
I have to look.
Okay.
So,
So in any event, yeah, the agenda setting meeting. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have Mary Ann email all of you that date so that you'll know when the agenda setting meeting is. And if you have issues that you want brought forth to be discussed at that meeting, then if you could just get me those items prior to that meeting, and that would be helpful for future planning. So I'll have Mary Ann send those dates out to you, and then as soon as I get them, she sends them out periodically, and I put them in my calendar. I'll get them sent out to you, so you have that information as well. So would that be helpful?
Perfect.
Everyone?
I think
Okay.
so. That'd be great.
Okay, great.
thank you.
All right. Nothing under informational. We have 2 action items. The first is a recreation proposal. I wanted to call up Craig Fraley, Director of Recreation, to speak to that.
We want to make sure you have a microphone, okay? Thanks, Craig.
I haven't yet.
There it is. And I have a PowerPoint that I might try to plug in with this. Great.
Did you send me a PowerPoint?
I did, yeah. Is it in
Yeah,
there?
but it's not in as a PowerPoint, and I don't know that we have the sound hooked up.
Okay.
I think the sound has to be hooked up with this, which means we have to unplug that one. Sound has to be hooked up with that, right?
Yes.
Sorry to.
Oh, no, it's okay.
It's okay. Let me see, but you may have to.
Yeah, let me get out of the way.
I know, but this has to go. Maybe it's on Tuesday.
You can unplug the blue recorder.
Okay.
I think.
I'm not using the sound.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
idea.
know. Hopefully it comes back. Hopefully I'm right with this. He still has the Yeah, it's these
I mean, in the best possible way.
That should go on. That makes more sense to her.
I don't think it's working.
That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
I already have that down.
Okay. That's more, like, you can edit it that way.
You can't have both hooked up, it won't work, but then this
You're not having it.
And I may be the only one that needs to.
But, you can't, this is how you get sound.
I can't think about my own.
Exactly.
That's good. So this is the special.
I thought you said it was two
I think it's when I do the consolidated view.
Yep.
Maybe it's four services. Every second year. Yeah, combined accounts. Wait.
that's payroll. I left my reading glasses in the car. Oh, wow. It's one of those things I'm going to ask questions about, but I know I can't because it might reveal different information. It's tough because, it is what it is to a large extent. Right. I mean, we got to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
What it goes down to, but student support services, here we go. Maybe that's it, because if you look at student support services, right here, and support technology.
Extra.
All these.
Okay.
Student transportation, operations, libraries. I bet
Yep.
transportation is associated with the students.
Yes. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, $200,000.
Yeah.
Before they leave,
Yeah, that must be it. I just want to make sure I was reading it right. No. Just looking here.
It's on that PDF.
I actually just clicked it and then brought it in. Go that way.
Yeah, I'll do that.
We're tracked. With user listening.
All right, sorry about that. I think we're good to go. Let me just scroll down and see if the PowerPoint's in there. It is. There we go. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay. So, thanks for having me tonight. I'm Craig Fraley, the Recreation Director, and we're very excited about this proposal. We think it'd be a really neat thing for Amherst to have. So we're talking about the Babusick Lake Road proposal, and the reason we're calling it the 11 Babusick Lake Road proposal is because that's the address of the piece of property that we want to put it on. We're hoping to get a better name and come up with something as part of this process, but we're not there yet. So the first step, our introduction, what we'd like to do is develop an alternative recreational facility, or recreational park. And that's not your typical recreational facility. If we look out the window and we look at Bean Field, we have baseball fields and rectangular fields for lacrosse and soccer and whatever else is played on a rectangular field, and playgrounds. And none of that is what we're talking about. So another piece to this is our 8 to 80 initiative that the town selectmen adopted. And basically, the 8 to 80 initiative is we're looking at things that if it's great for an 8-year-old and it's great for an 80-year-old, then it should be great for everyone. And that's kind of our initiative going forward in anything that we do with recreation. So what we'd like to do is install a pump track and a disc golf course and create connectivity to other potential trails and parks in the area, which the town is working on purchasing that large piece of property that was voted yes for, and so we're hoping to go over there. The location of the property, if you look at this map, the big road is 101, and that's right where 101 comes. You come off the off-ramp. If you're heading up, you're heading east, and you come off the off-ramp right by Babusick Lake Road, and you would take your first right, and you would come into a property that was a house lot, but is no longer a house lot. And in fact, the house has been torn down, and there was a pool there, and that pool has also been taken out and filled in. All that's left there is the barn. And then behind it is 22 acres of property that's owned by the Amherst School District. So what we'd like to do is, the property abuts 101, Village Woods Road, and the Village Woods Common property. And if you see this red line off to the right, there's a common parcel that we already have deeds through the Conservation Commission to put trails behind Village Woods there, and it's a common land that was developed when Village Woods was to go over, and it connects right to the Hazen property, which is the big property that the town had. So there's a lot of connectivity there for trails. And then across the way, across Babusick Lake Road, we have the B&M Trail, which that heads out and goes out to just below Walnut Hollow Farm, and it's the old railroad bed. So another great trail. So the first thing that we're interested in is a pump track. And what a pump track is it's a continuous loop that one can ride without pedaling. So basically they go over berms. If you think of a BMX racing or motocross, it's the same kind of thing, but much smaller berms, and so they're not flying 30 feet in the air and doing backflips. So there's berms and little hills, and when you're going over the hills, you push down, and that gravity makes you go faster and faster. And it's really neat because it works with all generations, from preschool kids running on it up through adults riding mountain bikes on it. So you can ride a pump track. You could use a big wheel, a mountain bike, and I even saw a YouTube video of a guy on a unicycle riding on it, which I thought was pretty neat. It builds skill in bicycle handling and riding confidence, as well as fitness and fun. And what we'd like to do is create a place for bicycle riders to go and enhance his or her skills. And with the loss of cemetery fields, I'm sure there's people in this room that know that many kids learn to ride their bikes at the cemetery fields property, and there's nothing like that anymore. I mean, we have the village green, but what we'd like to do is kind of make it generational. So we have, we're going to build 2 routes within the pump track, so you have really skilled rider areas and then easier places to go, and then around the outside we want to do a flat perimeter track where kids could learn to ride their bikes and watch older kids ride something cooler. So that's what we're doing. And I wish, I mean, the music isn't a very big deal on this, but I'm going to open this. And this is a pump track, and I'm going to skip ahead a bit.
Can you make it full screen when you get?
Yeah, I'll go full screen one second. So this is a pump track in Milford, New Jersey. I think it's just catching up. I can get rid of the ad. So as you can see, we have smaller kids riding it. To bigger kids. And then you get, more skilled kids through adults. Climax does know, yes. So that's that. I'll pause that. Go back to our.
I like that there's a lot of different skill sets riding around each other without running into each other.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's really the thing that I see in both. I see it as similar to a skate park, but for a different population. But what you see in those areas is you see kids who are, you see older kids and younger kids in all different ages teaching each other. And, there may be some foul language out there, but really what you see is kids coming together and working together at a common thing. And it's a really, really neat dynamic.
I love the fact that they showed the tricycle rider.
Yeah.
Because that was like my question. I'm like, can they, really, can those little ones make it?
Yeah. And it's really neat. And so that's kind of a pump track. To build the pump track, basically they're fairly easy to install. It's dirt and design, and we're looking at probably $5,000 for someone to design it and come in and build it. And the really neat part is where Joshua's Park is being built. A lot of the dirt that's coming out of Joshua's Park, we're hopefully bringing over and we can put in and build it with that, which means we're going to keep the cost down even more. There's also a lot of mountain bikers in town that are very, very interested in this, and including the bike shop that just opened up in the Salzburg Square. They're really excited about it. Yeah, they're pumped. But there's a lot of help and interest in it. And the other thing is a lot of families. I see it where I am, and my family. We do downhill skiing in the winter, and a lot of the families that are at Crotched Mountain that are from Amherst are very active parents and who have active kids, and they want to do activities like this as a family, and it's a neat family event. So Again, this is all, it's no tax dollars are going to go into this. We're hoping to pay for it out of our revolving fund. And we're going to create a pump track committee and community to help with the upkeep. So that's the pump track.
So I have a question.
Sure.
With rain, snow,
Mhm.
everything, I can see that really impacting the hills and such. What's the ongoing maintenance costs?
There is an ongoing maintenance. The neat part is again, you build this community around it, and a lot like mountain biking now. If you see a mountain biker out in the rain and the mud, they're shunned because they know that they're ruining the trails, and everyone will talk bad to them. But and the same thing would happen here. It would become a cultural thing, and obviously it's closed when it's wet. And what we do is we put shovels and rakes out so that people that are out there can rake it down and resurface it. So we would also we're probably going to put stone dust over the top of it and use a compactor to really make it a hard pack course. And the neat part is if something doesn't work, we just bring our tractor in and scoop that piece out and rebuild it. So it's, again, nothing there is permanent.
Sounds great.
I like the idea of having the flat area for the little ones.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big piece to it. Is creating a place where kids can go ride safely. So then we move on to disc golf, and disc golf played like traditional golf using a flying disc or a frisbee instead of using balls or clubs. It was formalized in the 1970s, and just like ball golf, the goal is to complete each hole in the fewest strokes. And you use trees and shrubs and terrain to enjoy the same joys and frustrations as ball golf you would enjoy. It's in New England, it's much more wooded. If you go down to Florida, disc golf is huge everywhere, except it's just starting to form in New Hampshire. And the courses around here are much more wooded. If you go down to Florida or out west, they're usually on golf courses, and they kind of follow the sides of golf courses. We've been interested in doing a disc golf course for a long time and thought about doing it on this property here. But the problem is when you do it around athletic fields, if there's an athletic event going on, they get in the way of each other. So they wouldn't work well together. So disc golf, were you able to hear the sound on this when there was music playing?
Yep.
Because this demo is much more in depth. Let's see. Keep to the volume button.
It's right here.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Disc golf is golf for the next generation. We've got 18 holes on courses, just like ball golf, and the rules and everything, the etiquette, the camaraderie, the technique, it's all the same. Disc golf is biomechanically just like any other sport. The muscles have to fire at the same point, and you have to use them together. Instead of hitting the ball off the tee pad, we use our legs and we're the lever, and we throw the disc. What we have is a suspended catching device. It's metal, it sits about waist high, and it has to catch the disc out of midair. We have par 3, par 4, par 5, just like in ball golf. The only difference is you got to think of disc golf in feet. Our par 3s are under 200 feet, not 200 yards.
The reason we play the game is just watching the flight. For me, it's like getting on the fast break and just going down and just slamming it. It's just such an adrenaline rush. Those bad shots and the anguish and missing putts are all just resolved once you hit that line and you just have that moment of zen.
When I first started, I played every single day. Skipped a little bit of school. Trying to fit it in whenever I could.
My
That
dad
won't
took
happen
me
here.
out as our father-daughter time, and when I started out driving as friends, that's what got me hooked. Cool to throw far, but you got to putt well.
It's all about playing smart, playing conservative, knowing when to attack. Really, every single shot that I step up to, I kind of try to take into account all variables. I'm checking the wind, I'm checking the distance.
getting a lot bigger. A lot more people coming out, a lot more athletes getting into the game.
I travel all over the world. I've been to 11 countries. I've been to every single United States playing disc golf. And the people you meet and the times you have are unbelievable. They invite us into their homes. They take care of us. They cook us food. It's an unbelievable subculture that's really taken over. I think that if the outside world can see how dedicated the people were in disc golf and how much it means to somebody when they get hooked, then they're going to get hooked.
Wow.
So does that use regular frisbee, or does it use a special disc?
It's a you can use a regular frisbee, but there's special discs, and they have it's a lot like golf. They have drivers and putters, and the discs are all made with certain weights and different sizes so that you can use what you need for the. And some people will carry 25 discs when they're doing it.
They need their own caddies.
Yeah, it really. I mean, it's the neat part about disc golf is it's and a difference between golf and disc golf is it's free, and this isn't something, we're not going to have a staff person out there charging people to come in. It's something that someone can go out and they can even walk their dog on the path and play disc golf, or go out with a group of friends and play. And we're hoping, our goal is to get an 18-hole course in there. It's about an acre a hole, and the total acreage of that property is 22 acres. So between the pump track and parking, we'll still have room for the disc golf course. Let me just get back to almost there.
Are you guys going to have those special discs out there?
We won't, but typically what happens is the Sports Authority already sells them, and then even like Moulton's, if it becomes that popular of a thing, local stores are going to have discs available to purchase. And what's happened is disc golf really has taken off in New Hampshire, and the city of Manchester just built a huge professional disc golf course, and their hope is that they're going to bring in these worldwide tournaments. And the neat part of it is that they're looking for other courses within a 20-minute, 20-mile radius to partner with, so when they have a huge event, they can put some of their event out at these satellite sites. And that's really where we would look to generate revenue to help offset the cost of this, would be through those tournaments. The other piece to it is having league nights and local league nights, and we can also generate revenue off of the league nights. So that's where we would help or turn to offset the cost, but not really turn it on our residents who just want to go out and throw and play. The other thing is, I went out and I looked at the town of Pelham has a disc golf course they just rebuilt, and we went out there in late February, and they use it year round, and they go out with snowshoes and they play disc golf. So it's crazy, and it's used almost, as long as it's light out, it's being used by someone. So that's it. So our goal there is we already brought in a consultant, a professional disc golf consultant, to have them just look at the land and see if it does work for it. And he said there's a lot of nice hills, and there's some old quarries out there from when they built the off-ramp of 101, so there's a lot of neat little hills and stuff and features to build that on. We will have to do some minimal cutting to create the fairways, and when I say fairway, it's a wider path than, it's not a golf fairway. And then we would use our recreational staff and volunteers to build the course and the tee pads, which the tee pads are basically a 10-foot long, 10-foot by 6-foot stone dust path that we can put in. So both of these, the disc golf course and the pump track, both things could be taken out at any time. I mean, if a school ever had to be built there or the land needed to be used for something else, it would be easy to pull that stuff out and turn it back over to a different purpose. So the park layout, you can see the off-ramp of 101. The orange little blob up there is where we would have parking. The pump track would be right off of that because we're anticipating younger kids using that, so we want them to be close to the parking lot. And and easier for mom or parents to get out of cars and schlep bikes over to it. And then the disc golf course, those yellow lines would be each fairway. And I just drew those lines. It's not actually where they would be, but that's just an example of what the layout would be like. We would stay out of the wet areas. Again, it keeps it wooded. There's a lot of habitat out there, and we don't want to disrupt that, so we really wouldn't with both of these things there. And try to keep it as wooded as possible, and also buffers between the houses of Village Woods so that we're not right in their backyard and intruding on them.
Are you planning on putting some sort of fence or divider between the parking lot and the pump track?
Yeah, we definitely would.
So you don't get runners.
Right. And I think, I mean, you really, by the age of the kid, that even if they're on a balance bike, it's not like the 2-year-old that's taking off across the parking lot. It's a little different than the playground. Yeah. But yeah, we would definitely have some sort of divider there. So our timeline for this is, right now we're gaining approvals from everyone that we need to get approvals from. We're trying to come up with a name for the park, and if anyone has suggestions, we're all for it. And then we want to hire disc golf and pump track designers to come in and design the courses. By the summertime, we hope to begin construction on the pump track and the disc golf course. We need to create the entrance and exit area of the property. And then our hope is to have the pump track open this year. And then in the fall, we'll continue disc golf construction, and our hope is basically about a year from now to have the disc golf course open. Any questions?
Relative to the disc golf course, the pump track looks pretty small.
Yes.
Is that going to be big enough for adults? And
it really is. I mean, the typical size of a pump track is about 40 by 80, and you get tired quickly. And since it's a circular thing, we're hoping to do like 100 by 100, which is basically about the size of the AMS tennis courts. So it's not that big of an area, and then the perimeter track around that.
Okay.
So I guess I was a little confused about the funding. If you could go over that one more time, where the funding for this is going to come from?
Sure. It's out of our O2 revolving account, which is what we run all of our programs out of. And the revolving account is not tax supported. It's generated by user fees for programs that we offer, and also field rentals, and basically anything we do, both at Peabody Mill Environmental Center and through our programs.
Oh, Craig, one more thing. This went to the Rec Commission, and they unanimously voted for this?
Yes. Yeah, okay. It was a unanimous vote at the Rec Commission, and then also at the Board of Selectmen.
Anyone have any other questions?
I really appreciate you thinking outside the box on two things that I would not have thought of for our youth or for adults, and I really appreciate both of them. So that's I'm excited about having them available to us. It's really great.
Great.
So do we need to vote at this point?
I believe we do.
All right. So the motion would be to what should the motion be? Is it to accept a proposal for the pump track or for the 11 Babusick Lake road property changes for a pump track and and disc golf, right?
As presented by Craig Fraley, Recreation Director.
Yeah. All right, so I'm not sure how much of that you actually got.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Fair enough. Well, I'd like to propose that.
Second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you
well
very
done,
much.
as
Thank
always.
you.
And I have another proposal. I don't see it in here, but it was for the scoreboards. No. I'm at the bottom.
Oh. I sent them all together. Yeah, I do remember.
What's the other one?
Scoreboards, right?
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's not in the packet.
Yeah, that's not there.
And that's not quite as It's an important but not quite as fun to talk about subject. May I?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not there.
That's okay. What we're interested in, we've had, our baseball group has been very interested in having scoreboards. And we had an Eagle Scout put one out, and it works really well for the softball field on AMS 1. And what we're interested in doing is putting out the manual scoreboard, very similar to the one that's on AMS, where you hang the signs, and usually it's a younger sibling that's at the game that is very excited to do this. So it's not the flashy LED light kind, it's the old-fashioned kind. And what we'd like to do is purchase one for the second AMS, so it would be AMS 2 field, which is the baseball field closer to the power lines on the back, and then Bean 4, which is the other baseball field, and then AMS 3, which is the softball field that's kind of over in the woods that isn't really seen, but we'd like to purchase 3 scoreboards and put them out. All they would say is Amherst on the top, so they could be used for school or rec. And then we're looking at doing red lettering and then black lining, so it'd be red and black with white behind them. And so that was our other proposal here. And there's boxes on the back of the scoreboard where the numbers are stored, and we'd obviously buy extra numbers because those probably will disappear at some point. Yeah.
And the Recs Department handles the funding for that?
Yes, we'll pay for those, and we'll install them and take care of them.
Okay. Any questions on that? I mean,
the space already exists. It's not like we're using up more space or reusing the space for a different reason. This is just really enhancing the existing space for what it was originally designed for.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Any questions? No? All right, we need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept the new, are they wood ones?
Scoreboards?
They are. Actually, I think they're aluminum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hand-operated aluminum scoreboards?
Yes, manual.
Yeah. Motion to accept the recommendation from the rec department on putting hand-operated aluminum scoreboards at the 3 fields presented.
Second? Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Great.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to pay for? Chris?
Yeah.
No, I love proposals, but we don't have to spend any money.
Exactly.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is professional nominations, and I wanted to ask that we move that to non-public. Okay.
The gym floor is non-public too, so we'll just,
What's that?
the gym floor is next,
right.
and that's non-public.
Right.
So,
I think we're done. Right?
except for non-public.
Except for non-public. So we need a motion to go into non-public
Motion to go into non-public to discuss the gym floor and personnel
and professional nominations.
and professional nominations.
Second?
Roll call.
Roll call?
Prescott, yes.
Manning, yes.
Stacy, yes?
Tremblay, yes. Kuzma, yes.
Okay.